Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Caroline joining me. Hey, Caroline.
Hi everyone.
Hey guys, we have an exciting video on how to manifest a commitment. We've got a great success story for you. It's about changing your beliefs because a lot of times our beliefs do play a huge part in how and what we actually manifest because, you know, our subconscious mind has to work within those beliefs, and sometimes they do need to be reviewed and changed. So this success story really does illustrate that. It's from one of Caroline's clients. And guys, just before we dive into it, we are having a sale. Caroline's got 50% off of her coaching right now. Link in the description. It's a limited time only sale, as well as, guys, we do have a free course, how to find your blocks to manifest anything fast. We're getting a lot of great success stories from it. It's more of how to build your mental diet. So when I say blocks, I'm really just referring to, it's basically how to change your story and how to change your assumptions and how to change your beliefs. So yeah, so you guys, link is in the description for that as well. So I'm excited. Let's dive into the success story.
Yes, so it is a success story of a client that is going to be a little bit unconventional, and so please don't be stuck on her reasoning. You know, clients come to us with all kind of situation and problems, and we just guide them through it. So the point that we want to come across is really to stick on our mental diet and how it is important to persist. So I'm going to give you the story. The client, I've worked with her on and off for a few years. And with new goals as we went along. She first came to me about getting out of a disastrous financial situation. So our coaching was about manifesting abundance and money. And after a few sessions, she started to talk about SP that was linked to her money problems. And over time, it just became an SP coaching. So she had a pattern, and maybe some of us can recognize ourselves in this, that we tell ourselves a story and we justify what's going on. And by fueling the justification with our thoughts and belief, we just give it more life. And then the justification becomes our story, and it does get pushed out in our 3D reality, and we may experience a reality that ends up working against us. So let me explain with her example. So she claimed to prefer to be the friend with benefit than the wife, just because in her mind, she saw the wife as the worst position to be in the sense that she had all the duties. She had to clean, she had to do all the chores. And so she would claim, SP does not live with me. I don't have to pick up his dirty socks on the floor, and I only get to enjoy the good fun times. So that was her perception, her assumption of what a good relationship was. And it had been molded as a child, actually watching her parents. So that definition of a relationship was actually closing the doors for her on a man who was available and being able to give her a fulfilling relationship. So quickly, she explained to me that as a child, she saw her father left her mother for another SP, and she perceived that her father was having a really good time. He was enjoying his life, and her mother, on the other hand, she was stuck at home, being single for about 17 years, dedicating her life to her children. She would work all day, come home, having to cook, clean, just take care of the kids. So that vision as a child became her belief of what a relationship was. And she persisted with that vision, and she carried it out in her as an adult. And then she would justify herself, because she would compare to what she had seen as a child. So she quickly realized, and she lived this way for many years as an adult, that it was just not fulfilling. She felt extremely lonely. She felt that not being the chosen one, she was never a priority, and that was not giving her satisfaction. She would also realize that those SP that she chose would go, often would have other people they were involved with, and she would find herself in the third party position. So yes, she didn't have all the duties at home that were annoying in her eyes. Well, who likes to clean dirty socks, right? But the point was that she started to see her story differently. So it is important to recognize that a statement that helped us survive for a certain amount of time could one day make us aware that it doesn't work anymore. So all we have to do is recognize it, and it's quite simple. We don't have to really dive into it any further. So in session, she affirmed, okay, I no longer choose the status of being the third party or just in the category of a friend with benefits. From now on, I am chosen. I am in a beautiful relationship with SP who wants to know me for all that I am and who wants to commit to me and only me. So she scripted this in the morning, and she would read several times throughout the day. Now, you can, of course, some people prefer to script each time because they feel like it's more powerful. They can focus more on their affirmations, but that's really up to you, whatever feels good to you. There's no right or wrong here. So something very interesting happened. She met a new SP, and he seemed perfect. He was interested in her. He was interested in everything she was all about. He lived alone. They spent quality time getting to know each other before the relationship moved forward and they got more intimate. And it happened quite fast. She was really dedicated to her scripting and her affirmations. So she got this relationship that seemed beautiful, and she felt like a victory. And after 2 months, she stopped. She stopped her all kind of mental diet. So the moment she reached her goal, she felt, okay, I got it. And the affirmation, the scripting, it was all forgotten. However, what happened in the 3D reality did not sustain her new affirmation, because remember, the new affirmation she only did for a limited amount of time, enough that it pushed out. But yet, the moment she let go, she was, I don't know exactly what she was thinking all day long, but she was not consciously thinking anymore. And she was certainly not focused on her affirmations. So her past beliefs, the 30 some years that she had those beliefs of what a relationship looked like and how men were in her life unavailable, did push out. And this wonderful man morphed into the type of men she used to date. So to me as a coach, it was quite fascinating to witness this, because really we see how at all moment what you are thinking or what you have imprinted in your subconscious is showing up as a mirror in your reality. But this reality was extremely unpleasant to her. That's not what she wanted. So she discovered suddenly, her past thought that emerged back recreated this new SP, and suddenly she finds out that he has an entire family in a nearby city that he had kept hidden, and she found herself in the situation she was before that she absolutely did not want anymore. So we had to stop again. She was devastated. I was fascinated to see how the mind works at all times. We can create someone and then recreate, and then we stop focusing, and it may go back to our dominant old beliefs. So what is important to notice in this situation is that the brain will take on the affirmations, but you have to stay on your mental diet, because the new affirmations, they need repetition to be imprinted in the subconscious mind. And if we let go too soon and start living without consciously choosing our thoughts, the dominant beliefs, in her case, the past 30 years, just came back and pushed out and morphed an SP into a complete different person, which is also beautiful because it shows how at all times we can recreate a person in front of us. So the repetition of affirmation is crucial. You have to imprint your subconscious mind with the new story, and you have to maintain it. So otherwise it will not sustain. So 30 years of thinking a certain belief, in her case, created, how can I say it? 30 years of thinking a certain way created a belief. Now she was able to change. And the beauty of it is that you can change it quite fast the moment you consciously choose your thoughts. But then you have to absolutely keep on working on it. The mental diet is the most important thing. So she did not persist. The SP morphed into an old type of man she did not like. So we had, at this point, two choices. We decided that we could either recreate one more time that SP or bring in a new one. And at this point, she said, okay, let's go with some kind of general affirmations, but hopefully maybe just bring someone brand new, because it was too much for her in her case. But of course, every situation is different. So the affirmations we came up with were: I am in a committed, beautiful relationship. I am the only woman in SP's life. We are inseparable. SP moves in and we participate equally in all the chores. As a matter of fact, we enjoy cooking together, etc., etc. You can be very creative at this point. Whatever you want to imagine, you write it. It's your story, but you have to stick with it. So in her case, again, I mean, she was amazing. She was really focused. Within 3 weeks, showed up a new SP, and very quickly they moved in. So that was a beautiful success story. And you can see that a lifetime of thinking one way can change very fast the moment you decide to change your story. She didn't have to undo 30 years. She decided to choose a new goal and kept on a mental diet to see the fast movement in her 3D reality. So I think the key is really to stay on your mental diet, and at each point in time, you just look at your 3D. If you like it, you're on the right track. You keep on going. If you don't like it, you correct your story. Once you have the SP, she was like, well, what do I say now? Because I have him. It's a victory. So what do I do? Okay, so one way to keep your situation going and not to revert back to any old beliefs is to keep your mental diet by affirming your gratitude. So once you get to relationship, and again, in this case, super fast SP moved in, she would say things like, I'm so happy and grateful for my beautiful relationship with SP. I'm so happy and grateful how easy and enjoyable it is to live together. And that was a way for her to maintain her new story. So
that is so, I love that story. That is awesome that she totally turned it around. I think you've got a really good point there. Like, our beliefs, they really do create what shows up in our reality. And the thing about changing beliefs is yeah, you do your intentions, you change your belief, but then it needs to go further, meaning, like, for instance, a good example is with Andrew. So when we first got together, I'm like, yeah, he likes me. He likes me. He wants to be with me. He wants to be with me. And there was a lot of intentions in the beginning. And then, I remember there for a while, he started pulling away a little bit because I was like starting to like worry and doubt, but then I got back on my intentions. We moved in together. And then, as like the years went, the intentions now are way less. So like, for instance, let's say it looks like he's not in a great mood. It's like, oh, I intend he's in a great mood. Of course he wants to be with me. So the amount of intentions and like affirmations and thoughts and energy I had to put in it in the beginning was a lot more than what it is now, because now I look back, I've got 5 years of evidence that's like, no, the guy wants to be with me. Whereas when we first got together, there was 1 month, 2 months, and so basically when when your belief changes is when you don't revert back to that old story. And you know what? I mean, the thing is I could even now possibly decide one day to have some negative thoughts and, put what I've created in my relationship on the rocks, right? And then have to re-put some work into it because it's an ever-flowing thing, right? So the only person that needs to be convinced and believe of your new beliefs is you, right? So yeah, I think all too often, because it is work, we put the work in and then we decide, okay, I got it. We're going to stop putting the work in. Well, no, we still need to look forward to getting married, 1 year wedding anniversary, kids, grandkids, like whatever the next thing is, right?
Yes, because what's absolutely fascinating to me is that you see it constantly changing as your thoughts are changing. So it almost can become a game where you just, play every day looking at, whoops, I create this good thing. And then my thought went that wrong spiral and I create this negative situation, but I can revert it. So it becomes a kind of a game once you're aware of it, and it can shift very fast. Even in one day, you keep on shifting depending on where you're going with your thoughts. And your relationship is the same way. So, but in your case, after 5 years, yes, you have time to really accept that belief. Your brain has had enough repetition where you don't have to do the work anymore. It's there, and then you can go on, build from here with goals.
Exactly. And I think the story of your client there paints a really great picture of how we create within our beliefs. So, with the belief that, just wanted the fun part of the relationship, but not to be the wife or, to have all that other stuff that went with it, it's like really looking to identify, like for a good example is like me and Andrew, for instance, I felt and I believed that, guys that were previously married didn't want to be in another relationship or get married again because they've been there, done that. So that was a belief that I held. So no matter how much I was affirming that me and Andrew were going to be together, that was still blocking it. So that was still a belief that I had that I hadn't changed that assumption yet. So when I say block, I'm talking about assumption, same thing, resistance. So I still had that assumption, that belief playing in the background that I completely forgot about. And then, it was one day when I was confronting him, which I would never recommend doing. I was like, why don't you want to live with me? And he was like, well, because I've been already married. I don't want to do this again. It didn't turn out good the first time. And I was like, oh, and we almost broke up that night. And then I was like, that's it, move in with me or I'm not wasting any more time. And he was like, I'll leave if you want. I'm like, oh no, tears everywhere. But that's the night I realized that, oh, I created him with baggage. And so I had to change that part of it. So we need to look at what our beliefs are. Do we have personal beliefs and assumptions about relationships? And if we do, then we need to take a look and really, dig into that. Some people have the thought of, oh, well, anyone else but me, I'm never chosen, I'm never the one, relationships never work out good, or whatever it may be. So there's the story about, yourself, your self-concept. Are you good enough to be in a relationship? Your assumption about the other person, and then your assumptions about relationships in general, right?
Yeah. Recognizing those limiting beliefs and blocks. Often people come to us and say, "Well, how do I know what my block is?" Well, we always tell them there's two ways. So first you look at what is not working in your life, and then sometimes even that they cannot really pinpoint exactly what it is. So I just tell them, look at how you reacted. Did you have a great reaction where you were celebrating, or did you have a reaction where in that case you gave him an ultimatum, or you just felt really unhappy with the situation? That right there will guide you to your limiting beliefs. And then you just recognize it, you can write it down, and then create. It's like it's a work of art. Each moment you recreate your story, you recreate what it would be like, instead of telling him, move in with me, or that's it, we're done. What could I create? Like something just beautiful. What could we create? Well, maybe SP would come and out of the blue surprise me with this big announcement that just pleases me. And then you go on. I mean, that's the beauty of creation, is that we can go beyond our reaction for sure. I mean, you start with your reaction, that's where you don't want to go, and then just take your little paper, pen, or just your imagination and rewrite it.
Exactly. I think our reality is so valuable because Carolyn's right. It reflects back what we're thinking. And it's like, I always say thank you. I'm like, if I'm looking to manifest something and, something reflects back to me that I particularly don't like, that's not in line with what I want, I'm extremely thankful, because it's like, okay, I see it. I recognize it. It's so easy to change. My thoughts change it. I'm just going to start thinking this and then shifting that thought. So it's like, I don't know, it's like a big neon signs like, you need to change this, you need to change this. And it's there to help. So, I look at it like a video game. When I make a declaration for something, it seems like a belief and thought that I have, which, an assumption that is not in line with what I want, it seems to like shine really brightly. And it's like, oh, perfect. Okay. They're all there for me. And it's like just taking the time to observe them and to change them, and I think that's like the most important thing to do. And that is a mental diet, no questioning, just focusing on what you want. If you see something you don't like, just changing it on the spot, right? And only focusing on what you want your desired outcome to be. And just by, doing intentions, affirmations, you're actually creating the visualization in your mind. So you don't need to actually sit there and see it in your mind. Just by saying it or thinking it, your mind's automatically going to create a picture of it. And and that picture, when you focus on it enough and there's no blocks, meaning assumptions or beliefs that are not in line with what you want, it's going to come through. Do you know what I mean? So I think that it's so important to identify what your beliefs are about your situations,
Yes. And, also just simply looking at what's going on right now in your life, because yes, in my example, we were going back to her childhood, what she perceived a relationship was, but for some people it sounds too complex, too much to go back and revisit what thoughts we had such a long time ago. So if you don't even want to go there, just look at what's going on right now and how you can modify this, what would be a better outcome, and work from there.
That's an excellent point. Not everything stems from childhood. Certainly some things do. But that's an excellent point. You don't need to go on a weekend archaeological dig to figure out when you thought something, right? Because you just have to change it anyway, right? So, if it's being reflected back to you in your reality, and, you can take that as, okay, this is what's going on inside my mind somewhere, and this is what I want instead. So, and the important part is we recognize it. We don't necessarily need to figure out where it came from, because that's not going to change what we need to do. We need to change it. We need to change our thoughts and our beliefs. So I intend this video helps everybody. It's very good. It was a really, great subject of talking about changing beliefs, because I think we talk about mental diet and everyone is pushed out, but I'm not sure we touch on getting to the beliefs that create your situation. So thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, everybody.
And guys, I intend you guys all have a great day. You guys manifest something wonderful. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.